I'd like to welcome everybody to our final lunch and learn of the season. We have several of them on our website. They're great. They're all recorded and you can watch them at your leisure. A lot of good information that we put out in these lunch and learns. Today is hurricane season preparedness. This is really important this time of year to really start thinking about what it's going to be like this season. My name is Rob Cornerans. I started in the roofing industry in high school. I worked on the summers in high school and college, and then my boss had me open a branch in Atlanta, Georgia, Triple M Roofing in 1979, and he moved me to Fort Lauderdale in 1982. And then in 1983, I started my own company, one pickup truck and a little loan for my dad. Still friends with the Milanese family, Triple M, and they taught me a lot and really appreciate everything Red Milanese did for me. So we're going to start out with a little video about what we just did. And we're really excited that in January 2nd this year, we became 100% employee owned. So go ahead and show the video.
When you choose a roofing partner, you're not just choosing a contractor. You're choosing the people who will protect your buildings, your operations, and your long-term investment. That commitment began in 1983 when Rob Cornerans started advanced roofing with a single pickup truck and a belief that doing the job right creates lasting trust. Over 4 decades, that belief built more than roofs. It built a fully integrated company, bringing roofing, HVAC, and solar solutions all under one roof through the launch of its HVAC division, Advanced Air Systems, in 1994, and its solar division, Advanced Green Technologies, in 2007. Today, the company spans 7 locations across Florida and employs more than 750 people who carry that responsibility forward every day. At Advanced Roofing, that responsibility has always mattered. Now, it matters even more. Advanced Roofing is now an employee-owned company. That means the people you see on your roof, in your meetings, and on your job sites aren't just employees. They're owners. Ownership changes how people show up. It means decisions are made with care, details aren't overlooked, and every project is approached with a long-term mindset. Because when every person has a stake in the company, quality, safety, and accountability aren't just expectations. They're personal. From inspections and maintenance to repairs and large-scale projects, our teams take ownership of the work, literally. The result is consistency you can count on, experienced crews who know your buildings, and a partner invested in doing things right, the first time. Employee ownership also means stability. Advanced Roofing isn't driven by short-term gains or outside investors. We're focused on the long term. Building relationships, protecting assets, and standing behind our work for years to come. For our clients, nothing changes, except the level of commitment behind every decision. Advanced Roofing, built on experience, strengthened by ownership, committed to your roof and your trust.
Yeah, we're really excited. I know a lot of people on this call are familiar with what's going on with private equity buying up all sorts of contractors and stuff. It's actually on the board chair for Broward Health this morning telling me stories about how that's all they're seeing now is private equity, and they're just not the same. So we went a different route. We believed in the people that built the company. We know that the retention, the recruitment, and owners will be much happier with us. That management stays the same. I'm not going anywhere. My boys and Clint and Jason, everybody on this call, we're real proud that we built this legacy company of craftsmanship, quality, and safety, and we're going to keep that going for the next 50 years at least. So with that said, we got the roofing, which is 40 years plus. We got Advanced Green Technologies. We saw that coming at us in 2007. That we've installed over 450 megawatts. That's a lot of solar. All tier 1 procurement. We don't use any tier 3 or anything that doesn't work and doesn't last the 25 years that it's supposed to. Advanced Air Systems, we do everything from chiller replacements to energy efficiency, design build. So we got all 3 divisions under one roof, and we're all one team. We've what makes us different, our experience being in business that long, all the awards we have won. We do a real lot with community service. That's one of my big pet peeves ever since I started. We do the MS Bike Ride, Boys and Girls Club, Habitat for Humanity. We're getting an award next week, and actually our name will be put on a building on Broward Boulevard, the Restore. We put a roof on for them. We donated it. And they're actually put advanced roofing on that building. But that's what we're about, giving back to the community, giving a hand up where it's needed. And that's what we really believe in. It makes us a stronger company all the way through all our employees. And that's we went over. You saw our 7 locations. Fort Lauderdale's our headquarters since 1983. We're on 7 acres there, big facility. And then all the properties we own. So we're not going anywhere. We're not like these companies that come in after storm, rent the space, and they're gone. So we're here to stay. We own our own equipment and buildings and stuff. So today, I want to make sure everybody stays for the raffle. We're going to have a raffle at the end. But the learning objectives today is hurricane season, historical facts, this season's predictions, roofing hurricane preparedness, what you need to do, advanced access, roof asset management is our in-house software that we built. That's really, you're going to see something that a lot of people never seen before today. Key takeaways, and then questions and answers at the end. Going to show a short video from Hurricane Andrew. We're real proud of this. When Hurricane Andrew went through in 1992, it was one of the major storms, real tight storm, went through Helmstead. And we had done the Sears. We had just finished the Sears building on the right, but I'm going to show you the video. This is some aerials of it after the hurricane. We always fly over the areas. We'll know if there's problems before the client usually knows, because we know where our clients are. We fly the areas, we're identifying it so we can dispatch crews quickly. We always store plenty of material so we're not having to scramble, wait for trucks. So we got a lot of food. But you see the damage there. This is Homestead. And then look at the right. The only thing we lost is, I think we lost the S in Sears on the thing, and it was ears for a while, and a little bit of metal coping cap. But other than that, Sears was able to open, and they did a lot of business. This season is near or below normal. What does that mean? Well, there's going to be 11 to 16 named storms, hurricanes 4 to 7, major 2 to 4, and a possibility of 3 to 5 impacting the U.S. Last year, it wasn't as much. It was predicted 13, 5 hurricanes, and we really didn't have any direct hits. So it's a little bit down, but that doesn't mean that you have to put your, at ease. It's still got to do. The waters are really, really warm. It's only a 12% major hurricane, which is low, but the intensity is going to be high. The waters in the Atlantic are super warm, but the wind shear that El Nino provides, it's El Nino year, so that wind shear tends to shave the hurricanes down. But if that doesn't get shaved, then they can build quickly, as it did in Ivan. You saw it build very, very quickly. So we're going to do a little survey. What side of the hurricane is considered the most dangerous? Let's see. We got 70%, 30%, 70 right for the right side. You're the winners. That is totally correct. That the right side. Why is that? In the northern hemisphere, the hurricanes are counterclockwise. So if you can think about a wheel going counterclockwise and it's moving forward, the right side is going to be a lot stronger. To give you an example, say the right side's about 115 miles an hour. The left side's only going to be 85. And what else is important is the storm surge. That's really important. The right side, you're going to get a lot more storm surge. So storm surge does as much damage as it did in Ivan as the wind. So that's a critical thing, especially with insurance companies. Sometimes they say that's not wind damage, it's flood. So knowing your insurance policies, we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then also the east coast of Florida is less susceptible to surge because it gets very deep and it comes up quickly, so the water goes back quickly. Where on the west coast, as we know, up in the Gulf and in the Panhandle there, all that shallow water gets pushed up, pushed up, pushed up, and the storm surge on the west side because of the shallow water gets a lot worse. So that's the story with the storms. And I'm going to turn it over to Jason. Jason is a third generation roofing contractor. He's been with us for almost 20 years. He started out in my service department in Fort Lauderdale. We're big on succession and growth here at Advanced. And then he took over service manager in Sanford. And today he's been running not only Sanford, but the Jacksonville office. So I'm going to let him take over from here and go at it, Jason.
Thanks, Rob. I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of people that we work with in the attendance. So I appreciate everybody spending their day with us. A couple of things I'm going to talk to you guys about is, hurricane preparation and what to do with your roof system and how to identify the current condition of where it's at prior to a storm. And then after a storm, I'm going to kind of give you a checklist of what to do, how to go about, what to look for when a storm passes. Obviously, there's some bullet points there. The idea is to document everything that you're doing. If you do have claims that you need to file with insurance companies, everything is done before and after. So one of the newer technologies that we utilize in the roofing industry lately is drones. Utilizing drones for two different types of inspections, basically just visual inspections. Flying a drone is a benefit tool for roof access that we can't get on steep slope roof systems, high-rise roof systems that we can't get on. We have the ability to fly a drone. We have the ability to zoom in to about 1.5 feet at these locations and kind of do an assessment. Basically, what we do prior to a storm or just in a voluntary inspection is we can do a drone flight, fly the building, do a map of everything, and identify the current condition of where it is. The second portion of the drone is the thermal imaging, which is kind of a variance on the picture on the right. What thermal imaging does is highlight the differences in the temperatures of where moisture is prevalent in the roof system. We use this for troubleshooting, where we're trying to find leaks on large buildings. This building here in the middle is a city furniture new construction project that we did in the Lakeland area. We finished this job and they had a persistent leak over and over again that we could not identify. We utilized the thermal imaging to pinpoint exactly where this leak was, and it was determined by the color differences that it was coming in around HVAC. There was a cut underneath the walk pad. So there was an idea of utilizing the technology is helping us assist in problem solving and documentation of your current roof. So this is a service that we offer at in our service division, and we also utilize it for identifying wet insulation when we're doing roof recovers or we're doing coating applications. There's opportunities to re-roof over an existing roof in the state of Florida. It allows you in the Florida Building Code to install 2 roof systems. At that point, we have to identify what the moisture is in the existing roof. What we do is we utilize the thermal imaging of the drone as a preliminary inspection, and then we follow it up with an impedance inspection on top of that just to verify the drone is correct. The latest and greatest that we've utilized in the company is what we call a 360 walk. A lot of people are familiar with Google Earth, and when you have the little man in the corner of Google Earth and you drag him down to the street and you follow the line around, that you can actually see ground level of what the images are. We've taken this technology and put it onto the roof with 360 cameras, like the old GoPros. Now that they have different technologies, the product that we use is Insta360. We have a physical walk around the building, and we do it on the ground and we do it on the roof. And I'm going to play this video here to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. So the little box in the left-hand corner is the location of the person who's doing the walk. And the purple line is the actual physical walk line of where he went. This has the ability to zoom in 15 feet from where the camera is to identify any deficiencies as well. This is another recommendation that we do prior to storms. Walk the roof, identify everything, get an idea of the current condition. If you do have any storm damage, you can refer back to this video and share it with any adjusters, any insurance company, and it speaks volumes when you're documenting with photos or video. So I'm going to play this video so you get an idea of what you're looking at.
At Advanced Roofing, we're bringing a new level of clarity to your facility management with our 360-degree roof walk. Experience complete visibility with absolutely no blind spots. We capture your entire roof in one comprehensive view, eliminating the missed areas common in traditional inspections. Our high-resolution documentation uses 4K imagery and video to provide crystal-clear visuals. This ensures an accurate condition assessment and precise record-keeping for your assets. We've built this for enhanced reporting and transparency. You can easily share these visuals with internal teams, consultants, or insurance carriers, accessible from any device, anywhere. It's a powerful tool for insurance and claims, providing documented proof of pre- and post-storm conditions to protect your investment and streamline the claims process. Serving Florida with commercial roofing expertise since 1983, we are proudly 100% employee-owned. Schedule your 360-degree roof walk assessment today.
Yeah, so this technology basically puts a visual on video and allows everybody to kind of identify that doesn't go up on the roof, what kind of condition it is. So what to look for prior to a storm, right? So, you know, all roof systems are different. You have steep slope, you got low slope, you got some with parapet walls, you got, metals that go over top of the walls. These areas here, the number one thing you want to make sure is that typically with every hurricane, there's a big rain event. And in a big rain event, and sometimes it could be 7, 8, 10, 20 inches of rain, depending on how fast the storm is moving. The more rain falls, the slower the storm is moving. We like to see storms that come across at 15, 20 miles an hour. That way they kind of get in and get out. You got some of them in the past. Ian, I believe, was at like 4 or 5 miles an hour, sat here for 3 days and basically just rain, rain, rain. What we want to do is make sure that all the drainage is clean. All the roof drains and the internal roof drains, the gutters, the downspouts are clean. That way, when it does rain, that water can get off of the roof. At 7 pounds per gallon, sitting up there, it becomes a problem in regards to weight, what they call a live load, of water being standing on the roof could cause structural damage. I've seen horror stories in the past where drains get clogged and buildings collapse. So identifying where the drains are, making sure that your primary roof drains are cleaned out. And then typically every roof system has an overflow or a secondary roof drain, just in case that primary gets clogged up. It should rise up no more than 4 inches above the roof level. And then this water could go off in a secondary roof drain that it should be adjacent to where the primary is. A lot of times the older roofs don't have that. So you want to make sure that your primary roof drains are functioning. Gutter systems as well, and also downspouts. One of the other things in that video, kind of just, trees that are hanging over the roof. I was watching that video of one of our service technicians walking the roof, that tree hanging over the building like that. Getting that cut back prior to hurricane season is always a great idea. Or even the rainy season, right? We're getting ready to go into rainy season. It's going to rain. The leaves are going to blow. It's going to come onto the roof every day. And all it's going to do is impede the drainage flow. Wall flashings. The walls are the most critical part in a wind event, right? So wind comes across a roof, comes across a building, hits the side of the building. It runs up the building, and 99% of the roofs fail at the edge of the roof. That's why there's such stringent codes in regards to how metal is secured, how the perimeter enhancements of roof systems are more attached than the middle of the roof system. And then the parapet walls are key as far as how your roof system is terminated to the wall. So the idea is to inspect your perimeter walls, make sure that all your edge metals are secure, and and because the walls are a vulnerable area. Bottom left one there, this is a maintenance item. We call it a pitch pan. It's basically a pocket sealant that goes around all the penetrations in the building. HVAC units that has AC stands, all those things should be looked at and maintained. Those are probably the first areas of water intrusion. Any penetration that comes up through the roof system in the middle of the roof will be the potential of where the water intrusion will happen. So there are maintenance programs that we offer in regards to us coming out there once a year and making sure that depending on what type of roof system that you have, we do a bullet point based off of the manufacturer's recommendation of what needs to be done for maintenance programs. So documentation, I keep talking about that, right? So first thing we do is we voluntarily go out there and we fly it with, we walk it with a 360 camera. We got video. We take still photos in there as well. We can take pictures of HVAC equipment. We have a Paul from our HVAC department that's going to talk about that. Any warranty work that you have, any roof warranties that we have, we like to store everything in a cloud-based system that we internally call advanced access. Any service history of the roof, any documentation of what has been done, the warranty paperwork, making sure that all of that is somewhere to be accessed after a hurricane. If you do have roof damage, how do you go about it? Obviously, there's hurricane deductibles that insurance companies require that are more elevated than your regular deductible. And then you got to kind of weigh things, right? How much is it going to cost for us to repair compared to how much is it going to cost for us to pay our deductible? How much damage do we have? And is it relative in regards to the deductible for the policy? Or do we call our roofing manufacturer and have them come out and inspect it as well? There's all different types of roof warranties that exist. Some of them have wind riders that cover a higher amount of wind pressures in storms. And then there's your standard 55-mile-an-hour wind warranty with most manufacturers across the industry in regards to just regular roof systems. So taking all this information, compiling it into a cloud-based system, before pictures of what's been done, record keeping, warranties, all of that is ammunition in your pocket in case there's something that does happen. You have all this information stored, not in a file. That's old school. Files get wet, roof blows off, ceiling tiles get wet, and then you got to look for it. That's not going to work. So put it in a cloud-based system, and that way we can access it. Kind of a little bit talking about the checklist. What do we do? So we get up there and we're walking, we take the video and we're looking at making sure that the drains are clean, primarily number one. Making sure that there's no debris on the roof that can get to the drains is number two. Making sure that things are secure. Loose satellite dishes that are up on the roof. A lot of the times people throw those things up there and set them down with a cinder block on top of them. Those things are projectiles. They're going to lose. They're going to, they're going to fly off eventually. Making sure that they're secured to the roof systems. There's a lot of, talked about installing all the solar that we have in the company, solar panels, making sure that those are inspected and secured to the racking. Just doing a visual inspection prior to the storm and having qualified eyes, understanding what is what needs to be secured. It's one of my favorite pictures. I took that one there of all those beer bottles. That's actually a place in Daytona Beach right on the strip. They haven't done anything with it. It still looks like that. Even after I tried to give them a price to clean it off, I thought it was pretty neat. So next slide. So the storm comes, everybody's curious, winds, you hear noises, lots of rain, you got leaks inside maybe, you don't have leaks. The first thing everybody wants to do is run outside and see what happened, right? That is very, very dangerous. You hear horror stories of people, walking in puddles and electrical lines being down in puddles. Just very, very careful when you want to go outside after a storm and look around. You do not want to get up on a roof after a storm when you know that there's some type of damage. You could have structural damage. It could be fatal in regards to you getting up there, walking around and not knowing where to go. The idea is to, get a qualified person to get up there. This is when we can use the drone, right? It's a lot safer. We could fly the drone from the ground in a safe spot, kind of get a preliminary inspection to find out what the structure is like. And from there, yeah, it's good to go. No, don't walk on it, right? That's another benefit of the drone. So walking around the roof, taking pictures again after the storm. What is it? What kind of condition is it in? Did I sustain any damage? And then gathering all this information from what you had prior into what you have now, and that way you can state your case when you have to file a claim. So please be very careful if there's ever any and limbs fly off, dig holes in roofs, cause leaks. There's all types of things that could happen that could be cause damage to not only structure but to people in general as well when you're out walking around. So have a qualified person do it. That's all I would recommend. So just to recap, documentation is my number one thing. Utilize us for drone inspections, utilize us for 360 walks, document everything, put it in a cloud-based system, and then that way, if you have any issues, we can reference that and we can help you out with that. Next, Paul, I talked about him a little bit ago. He runs our HVAC department. He's going to kind of give you an idea of what to look for in regards to mechanical work.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for joining the webinar today. I'm going to go over quickly about some things to look for in your HVAC units prior to a hurricane and then post-hurricane. So the couple of things that you want to look at right away, anytime you have a hurricane coming and you got your HVAC on the roof or even on the ground level, you want to make sure that all the fasteners are in the units, making sure all the panels are secure. Because if any of those panels fly off, which we see often, the panels will fly off. They'll either roll across the roof or hit something. I mean, it's going to be very dangerous when a piece of sheet metal is flying around at 100 miles an hour. So you want to make sure everything's tightened down, all the panels, all the screws are in the unit. You want to make sure any rusted components are taken care of. The big point of checking the tie-down clips on these HVAC units is because that's what keeps the unit secure in a hurricane event. So making sure that if you have any tie downs, they weren't cut or removed or improperly installed, just want to make sure that they're properly secured. You want to take all photos of your equipment so that way you have good documentation. It's something we definitely offer as a contractor. We would come and do a current conditions report, take a look at all of the units prior to an event like that, and give you some documentation so you'll have for insurance purposes. And then basically, if there's a way that you can protect your units by providing barriers or shields to the units, because a lot of these units have exposed condenser coils, and it's very accessible to damage from other debris like trees and anything that pretty much hits that condenser coil could cause a refrigerant leak, which puts you out thousands and thousands of dollars. So trying to protect, get rid of any loose objects around the equipment and make sure everything's secured and tightened down prior to hurricane. And then going to post-hurricane, safety first, you want to make sure that, because if after a hurricane, the unit could have moved or been damaged or thrown around, and want to make sure that you're not touching any live wires. So and as well as metal debris that could be scattered around that you get cut by. So really want to hire a professional mechanical contractor to come in and take a look at all your HVAC equipment, make sure everything's safe for you to restart and turn on and operate. So checking the electrical, making sure the debris is removed, and then conducting a damage assessment. Another thing that the HVAC contractor can do, and which we do quite often after hurricanes, is come in and do a post inspection showing what has actually been damaged by the hurricane, so that way you can present that to your insurance. So that's pretty much it. I think next up we have Clint going to talk about some solar checklist. Thank you, guys.
Hi, thanks, Paul. Good morning, everybody. Clint Sockman, Executive Vice President here and head up our solar division. I'm going to talk a little bit about getting prepared for the storms, what to look for with our solar installations, and then how to move forward as you come out of a storm. And I think what we're going to hear here is a pretty consistent theme, right? Which is you need to have eyes on your assets. We need to make sure they're in proper functioning order, and then documenting the condition so you have a good trail of what you had before a storm. Obviously, checking our inverter status and making sure the communications are up and running pre-storm so we can see if there's anything not functioning as the storm progresses. Inspecting our enclosures in our electrical gear. Paul talked about doors flying off of HVAC, but we have electrical panel boards. All of our inverters have access panels and openings, and making sure that all of those enclosures are properly shut and sealed. Our gaskets are closed, and we're prepared. Everything we specify is rated for outdoor use and wind-driven rain, and they have proper enclosures, but only when they're installed properly and shut properly. Measure all of our torqued electrical components and make sure that our connections are solid. There's no excessive heat or loose connections that could cause electrical fires in the event that a lot of system vibration does happen. Inspecting our conduits and supports, couplings and fittings. Anything that's up on a roof and not properly installed or not properly maintained has the ability to kind of become an airborne missile and have impact issues. Inspect all these visible wire connections. Some of these solar arrays have miles of wires. They have certain different types of wire management systems, whether they're strapped to the structural system that holds the solar panels in place, or they're on racks and conduits. Just making sure that those connections are secure. Spot checking our racking attachments. This is one of the biggest things that we see. Solar arrays have hundreds of thousands of bolted connections, and each one of those bolted connections is marked to a very specific torque setting, and that torque setting is what allows us to resist day-to-day expansion and contraction or heavy wind events. And in the event that those have moved over time and you haven't looked at these assets, you absolutely could be at risk to those bolted connections coming loose from the extreme loads and vibration that we see at heavy winds. And if those torqued connections aren't at their proper setting before you head into a storm, being able to handle one of those long duration storms becomes less likely with every connection that is loose. So we go through a lot of painstaking process to make sure each and every bolted connection is torqued to its setting, and then we mark it. And in the event that they're loose, you're really exposed. Inspecting the modules for any physical damage before the installation, and then documenting your conditions. And this is a big one with any electrical systems, but especially with solar systems that are direct current DC, and a little bit different than what we are used to working with AC current that feeds our buildings. But inspecting our warning signs and labels, and making sure that they're all there for our first responders, which indicate which conduits could be live in the event that they're, even with the utility down, some of our components are still generating energy, because our solar panels get their energy from the sun, not from a power plant. And if the sun is shining, there's a potential that those are active electrical components, and everything is clearly marked, but making sure that those are there. And then obviously, in the event that there is a storm and it's in our pathway, we do recommend that you give us a call and we take the system out of service and go ahead and shut those things down and get it tidied up before the storm does hit. As we move into this post hurricane solar inspection, have us come back out and turn these systems back on. We do shut them down in a very methodical order. In that way they turn back on. So, we isolate the utility grid, and we isolate the inverters, and we reverse it in the backwards order. Look at all of those components and make sure that no water has gotten into them. It's not uncommon for us to see wind-driven rain get into cabinets and enclosures, and modern day inverters are very much electrical components. They're basically a transformerless electrical piece of equipment. If there is any moisture in there, it could absolutely combust and catch fire. Check all of our voltages and all of our currents of our system. Make sure that we have no broken modules or solar cells that are maybe damaged that you can't see with the naked eye. But the infrared picture that you see in the middle is a very common picture that we see when you look at it with thermal cameras, because there have a lot of electrical resistance where cells have been fractured from hail or from flying debris. You may not see it with your naked eye, but when you do test it, you can see these things. These things can cause hot spots and ultimately cause fires if not properly maintained. Look for any visible signs of wire connections. This is a big one post-storm, both pre and post-storm. get back and look at those bolted connections and make sure they're not loose. We had a large solar carport take a direct hit from Ian on the West Coast a few years back, and we did not lose a single solar panel. We were very proud of it. It was right in the middle of 150-mile-an-hour winds. It did phenomenal. But when we did go, and thankfully the owner called us and said, "Hey, can you come take a look?" We went out there. We found over 50% of the bolted connections had come loose from their torque setting. So that carport, while fully intact, was absolutely loose. And it was very simple for us to get the wrenches out, get the torque wrenches out, and just retorque all of those bolted connections, and it's like new again. But God forbid if a storm would have hit and nobody had looked at that again, boy, it certainly would have been in the parking lot and damaged significantly. So you really got to look at this post installation. With that, I think it's time for a quick poll, and this is a big one as we lead into the next part of the presentation. Is your roof still under warranty? Yes, no, unsure, what warranty? We got a pretty even field here. We got 50-60% of the people that say yes, just under 10%, 6% say what warranty, and then another 20% of us saying no, or you just don't know. And that's not uncommon. A lot of people buy buildings, they don't know what roof warranty they have. A lot of people, have an aging roof asset, they've lost track of it. So we see all these answers all the time. I don't think there's not a right answer here. Jessica says 18 buildings, some are, some aren't. We get it completely. And this is definitely something we can help you out with. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael Cornarens, my business partner, a lot like all of us, born into this business, and has a breadth of knowledge on roofing systems and the operation side of our business. Michael, all yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Next slide, too. Happy to be here on this Thursday before holiday weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about warranties. Clint teed it up for me. There's different types of warranties out there. A lot of people don't realize that. There's the manufacturer NDL warranties, no dollar limits. That's the gold star. That's what you should be buying. It's pretty standard for what we're offering on a daily basis on projects that go out the door out of our shop. And then there's the manufacturer material warranty. That's just saying that the material is not going to degrade or fail. But I can tell you that material warranty it's very hard to prove that with manufacturers. And then there's labor and warranty, and your contractor warranties go anywhere from 2 to 5 years. But the biggest takeaway with roofing warranties, and a lot of people do not read them, is you need to read them and understand what the requirements are on your side. I always bring it back to motor vehicles. You get a warranty from General Motors or Ford or whoever it is that you got, manufacturer of the car. If you don't do the proper maintenance on the car, the warranty is not worth the paper it's written on or the email that it's written on. You need to make sure that you're doing the maintenance and the required inspections that are in that warranty. I can't tell you how many customers skipped 3 or 4 years and then had a failure on a detail. It's out of all the warranties. The system's 10 to 12 years old, and the manufacturer comes back and says, "Give me all your inspection reports and your preventative maintenance schedules that you did on this roof," and now the customer's in a fight. A lot of times, you can pull some strings and make things happen, but you got to have the documentation and have your paperwork ready. One thing that isn't on this slide to talk about, since this is a hurricane webinar, is wind riders. So there's wind riders that can go on top of warranties. If you look at a lot of the warranties, anything over 55 miles an hour, the warranty is voided unless the manufacturer comes out and does an inspection after the hurricane. I saw a good example of a charity job that I'm helping out a customer where they had a manufacturer decline the warranty because they were in the wind zone of Milton, and the building did not have any stress. This is a failure of the system, and working with that charity to try to get their roof going back up to par under warranty. But like I said, read the warranties. The wind riders are good. They're enhancements. We actually just did a large project. They had a double back-to-back hit up in the Panhandle for a Super Puff customer. They make all the Lay's potato chips. They got hit by one tornado, and then the second hurricane came through on the West Coast and hit the other side of the building with another tornado. So we did a fully adhered fiber tight system with wind fingers, and they bought a 120-mile-an-hour warranty and enhanced the whole perimeter. So there's different solutions out there if you're in high wind prone events, but know your warranties, understand them, and we're happy to help you through that. But there are requirements in there in order for that warranty to be attacked. I can't express enough that I see day in and day out that there is an issue. It's, this is construction 10 years down the road, but then, manufacturers aren't backing it because you didn't hold up your side of the bargain. The biggest one I see is, counter flashings or caulk joints that are 10 years old and dry rotted out, and the water gets in the roofing system, and moisture in a roofing system is no one's friend because it just, it starts rotting from the inside out with the moisture heating up and cooling down, and delaminating the roofing system day in and day out. A little bit on insurance. This is another one that I feel for a lot of customers. They have, we do have insurance. Deductibles are deductibles. Everybody understands that, but it's, ACV versus RCV. So replacement cost value is, you're going to get a new roof on the replacement cost. I've seen a lot of insurance carriers slide in actual cash value, thinking, the customer's paying a lower premium, lower deductibles for actual cash value, but they get a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old roof that gets blown off during a tornado or a hurricane, and the insurance companies are, they got a proposal called $1 million or easy math, and they're taking 65-75% of that value off because of depreciation, and that, that's not the actual cash value of remaining life of that roof. That, they don't have reserves, etc., and having to, do cash calls for the community. So understanding that and being prepared, what you really have as far as your insurance coverage. The flood coverage is another one, wind versus flood, just understanding that, and business interruption. Seen a bunch of manufacturers that lost machinery and downtime for 3 months putting it back together, and they didn't have business interruption. So I just like to bring that up. But the biggest is understanding, is it full replacement value, or is it going to be prorated for the years left? And then there's always the fight with the insurance company that this was a 30-year roofing system I bought. They're only giving you 15 years and you had 15 years on it. Is, understanding that and having that written in writing at the time of you purchasing the policy, not behind or after the fact when you're trying to make a claim. Next slide, please. A little bit on just preserving damage. Jason showed you the drone 360 walk. That's a newer technology we implemented last year. It's a great value because a lot of times I have helped a lot of customers where the insurance carriers say that that's pre-existing damage. And sure enough, we had some still pictures, but now we have 360 bubble drone walks where you're able to document everything you have up there. All the AC units were tied down properly, et cetera, et cetera. And then after the storm, documenting the damage, and then most insurance policies, 90% of them I've ever seen, you have the right to secure the property, whether that's a temporary roof, or go back with a new roof right away. I can tell you, be careful. Still cleaning up some messes from Milton, where out-of-state contractors came in and we're selling a bill of goods, and the customers, paid for a new roof, and now that new roof is shot 2 years later. So make sure you understand your contractor. You don't have to use Advanced Roofing any day of the week, but we would like it. But make sure you got somebody that's local and that's been in business a while, that's going to be there to support your system that you have. A lot of things that happen during it as well is, I call them the roofs lift up and lay back down, especially on metal buildings that have big access doors, airports, things of that nature, where if a bay door will blow out, if I see that damage is there, or a man door blew out, even on like penthouse roofs on condos, things of that nature, or if you had the top floor of the building loses a window, something like that, the roofs, that wind that's going through that hole during a wind event has to go somewhere. So what does it do? It blows up the roof. The roof will lift up and set back down. I've seen it on goosenecks or even forced air intakes on HVACs, where those will blow off and then the air is coming in that hole and blows up the roof. You can actually walk the roof and think the roof is perfectly tight, but meanwhile the roof is floating. And then the next big wind event you have, that roof will be off in your parking lot. So really, if you have something along those lines, get an engineer involved, get somebody that has, bonded pull test, really look at what you have there to make sure that you're not having any issues down the road, or make it to claim now and work through it with engineering or your contractor to make sure that you didn't have sustained damage that is not visible to the eye. So some key takeaways, he obviously the warnings, technology is great now. I like Mike's weather page, whatever your resource is for your information, but just watching what's out there. You have a plan. It seems like that's, it's pretty ingrained now in the Florida residents. Don't overreact, is my opinion, and just, have all your vendors lined up, ready to go to secure the property. Tornadoes seem to be a big thing in the last couple hurricanes that are slow moving across the state. I actually get the privilege of flying the state in the helicopter after it for our customers who are signed on with ramp inspections, and I'm a helicopter pilot, so I've seen the carve out that tornadoes do. A good example is Plant City Furniture. We've just finished a nice brand new fiber tight roof for them, and they actually had metal error, which is a high-end metal detail, and 400 feet of the coping cap blew off. They're like, you didn't install it right. And I said, you guys had a hurricane go through there, and they didn't even realize it. There was a carve out of a hurricane going right through this large building, not a hurricane, a tornado, I'm sorry, going through, and you can see the fence all blown up, and the fence pieces were actually up on the roof. So it's really those microbursts and tornadoes do the majority of the damage during a hurricane event and wind event. And always document everything with photos and documentation. So book your free inspection. We'd love to get up there, do a 360 walk, and document what you have. The way we do our inspections is, emergency, remedial, and recommended. Emergency is, for example, going to the dealership and your belt has cracks in it on your radiator, or, and it's about to fail in the next couple hours of driving. Remedial is, this could be a problem in the next year. So just kind of looking at it, knowing what you got, make sure you don't have any screws in your tires on your roof, and getting ahead of it as a good property owner, manager. If you're looking for some additional information, scan the QR code. You can see our previous webinars. They're also on our website for information. We'll give everybody a second to scan. I also have a QR code for the CAM credits as well coming up here on the next slide, please. This is our team. I'm sorry. I was out of order. We'll come back to this at the end, and then the QR code for your credits. And register to win. Sorry, I was out of sight. Email Tatiana. We'll put that link in the chat here. We didn't do the QR code in this one. So thank you for everyone for coming. And have a great holiday weekend. Be safe out there.